Three things we can do with a reverse mortgage, and it's one of three things or it's a combination of any of them. It depends on how much equity they have and how old they are. So there's a few things, but we can set it up where they get a monthly income distribution. They can get a chunk of cash out, or they can have a line of credit that they can use anytime they need it. They don't have to make a payment when they use it. So that's kind of the benefit of that part of it.
Hi, I'm Julie Cosgrove with the Cosgrove team at Keller Williams Realty, and I want to thank you for joining my senior talk. And I'm so excited today to have Liz Reese with me. She is a mortgage broker. And the reason that makes me so excited is that she does reverse mortgages for our seniors. Liz, can you tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do? And then we'll talk a little bit more about the reverse mortgages.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Liz Reese. I'm the broker owner with my husband of Reese Squared Mortgage. And we've been doing lending for 20 years. And the past 7 years, I've gotten more specialized in the reverse mortgage space because I was seeing what an impact that it was having to have someone help seniors who was honest and wasn't going to take advantage of them. And I knew that I was going to be that person. And so I've loved helping seniors figure out if reverse mortgage makes sense. Something that is really important to me to share is that I'll never talk anybody into a reverse mortgage. I think that there are definitely lenders out there who they just kind of bully people into it. And that just is never going to be who I am. I'm a broker. I do a lot of different kinds of lending products. And if reverse doesn't make sense, I have other options for them. And so I'm never just selling that one thing and hitting it hard, So I think it's important to educate. I want people to understand it and to feel confident that this makes sense for them.
What would make sense for them to do it? How would it benefit them?
So it's very needs-based, of course. I'll give you an example of just a client we were just helping, and I think that will kind of answer your question. So actually, we were connected from TikTok. Never discount where to show up on social media. But it was their daughter, and their daughter lived in Florida. They lived in California, the seniors. And she was trying to figure out how to help her parents who were going short about $1,000 every month in their budget. And the daughter couldn't really afford to supplement them.
Sure.
But a huge blessing, these guys still had a loan on their house, but they had a lot of equity. Maybe, it was probably about $700,000 in equity. And not that that's necessary.
Right.
I'm just saying that was a blessing in this case. And so what we were able to do for them is, because they were going short every month, we eliminated their house payment. So the reverse mortgage is a new loan. We pay off the loan that's on it. And then what's different with reverse is you still get a bill every month. It's still a loan, but you have an option whether or not you want to pay it. And if you don't pay it, that payment gets added to the loan balance. So it goes in reverse. For these guys, we eliminated a $2,000 bill every month. That they didn't have to make that anymore. Right. That's huge.
Right.
And then the other thing we were able to do was set them up with a monthly distribution because they had enough equity in their house where they could then get, you think about reverse mortgage will pay me back. That's kind of what is happening. So we set them up and it was about $600 a month. So we eliminated $2,000 and then added another $600 to it. And it just it allowed them to just live their lives, just to not worry anymore and not to have their daughter worry about them, about how can I help my parents financially when I'm kind of in the middle of my own life trying to figure out how to pay my own stuff. And so it just was a huge blessing. And they didn't want to move. They're young enough that they are healthy and they weren't ready to downsize yet. And so it was a good space. Fit. Yeah, it was a good fit for them.
I just had somebody ask me the other day, and they were in the senior industry, but they were asking me, and I said, well, they need to go talk to you, but about having a reverse mortgage for people who want to stay in their homes and not have to leave, but yet need some assistance, need in-home care.
Yeah.
So is there a way that could work to help a senior in that way?
Yeah, definitely. So there's three things we can do with a reverse mortgage, and it's one of three things or it's a combination of any of them. It depends on how much equity they have and how old they are. So there's a few things, but
Okay.
we can set it up where they get a monthly income distribution. They can get a chunk of cash out, or they can have a line of credit that they can use anytime they need it. They don't have to make a payment when they use it. So that's kind of the benefit of that part of it. But so if somebody needs care, like I had a senior, another daughter helping her mom, they took as much as they could at first, because the reverse limits you on how much you can take the first year and then the second year. So they took as much cash as they could at first so they could start having the cash to pay for these in-home care. And then the second year beyond, they had this line of credit they could access to get the rest of the money as they needed it. So
great.
it does allow them to stay in their home, access that equity, those funds, and then use it however they want. I mean, if they need it for care, they need to pay off debt. I mean, really common is that seniors have about $25,000 on credit cards because they're going short every month, because not because they're, going cruising and, being silly about it, but groceries are going up, or they needed to replace the tires on their car, or, things like that.
What I found is they needed to have maintenance done to their house that hasn't happened for years.
Yeah. A lot of deferred maintenance.
Gotten maintenance done on the house to be able to stay there as well.
Or doctor's bills. And I mean, I've had seniors that couldn't afford to pay $25 to go to the doctor. It's just like,
yeah, I know.
So that's why, and a big part of why I love reverse mortgage, because it solves this solution, it solves this problem that they're having. And it is still a loan, and there's interest that accumulates on it. It is a loan. So I don't want anybody to think they're just getting, here's cash and there's no consequence to it. I mean, it is a loan. There is an interest rate. But
so is that added onto the back of the loan? So as if something happens and they're no longer using that, staying in their home.
If they have to move, they have to pay the loan off. So they pay it off with a sale. When they sell the house, they pay the loan off. Just like we have a loan on this house. If we sold it, we'd have to pay the loan off. So they have to pay the loan off when they move or when they pass away. The estate has to pay off the reverse mortgage. So whether that's a sale or they can refinance.
How long? That's a good question. How long do they have if they pass away after to pay off that reverse mortgage?
So typically you need to let the lender know that this person passed away, because they will find out. Like, they have ways.
Sure.
They get alerts. And the clock starts ticking when they pass away, not when they find out, but when the death certificate date. If you're going to keep the house, if the estate's going to keep the house, you need to be actively working on a refinance. I have one right now. Their dad passed away. It's been a couple months, and there's just a process to it. And I can help people with that. I talk about that on TikTok a lot, actually, that, if you inherited a reverse mortgage, let me help you get out of it. Refinance as soon as they can. And to sell it, they give you 6 months. And if you need an extension, they do 12 months. But there are rules to it. Like the foreclosure process does start, even though they're giving you time to sell it, that extra 6 months.
Okay.
Because when it hits that 12-month mark, it's going to probably go into foreclosure. So they want you to
be on top of it.
They want you to be on top of it. And honestly, the longer you wait to sell the house, the more you owe on the house. Like, the less you're going to get out of it. So, why are we waiting?
Is there an age limit on reverse mortgages?
Not a limit, but you can be as young as 55.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're 101 and you want a reverse mortgage, knock yourself out. We can do that. But you have to be at least 55 for the private reverse mortgages.
Right.
Those have high interest rates. I don't recommend them a lot, but they are possible. And then 62 is that for the FHA reverse mortgages.
Oh,
yeah, they call them HECM, HECM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about if somebody lives in a large home and they're still capable of going into another home? not any kind of assisted living, and they want to downsize their home. Can you talk about that kind of loan a little bit?
So we can do a reverse mortgage on a refinance, like a house they live in, or if they're downsizing, we can do it for a purchase. And not a lot of people know about that, actually. Right. And it's really handy because, I helped this senior, and they were going to net after, everything's paid off, the real estate agents are paid, everything. They net about $300,000. And they really did not want to have a house payment. Like, that was a big deal. Wife had just retired, and they're, you figure out how much can we afford in our lives. And so they were thinking, well, we'll just pay cash for the next house. Well, I mean, in our area,
right,
a $300,000 house isn't a house I want my mom living in, Right. I mean, not the house, but maybe in an area that I don't feel really confident, or it's a condo that has stairs, so it's not even about like neighborhood. It's about like just utility. So anyway, these guys needed like a bottom floor kind of a situation. And so we were able to help them use a reverse mortgage for the purchase and get into a more expensive house, because they still needed to use most of their cash to get into that place, but they could get into a nicer place because of the reverse mortgage loan. So I believe the house that they got into was $430,000, but all they had to bring in was $260,000. So they could have that cash. They had enough left over to like hire the moving company, replace the floors, all of those things, and be in a 55 and up community that everybody could just feel more like, okay, my parents are in a safe space, and on that 1,600 square foot, one story, like this right. is, and it's their own, because they were also on the younger side, so they had their own autonomy, and it was just really good. So it does allow people to expand your buying power, really, is what it does.
So that one they did end up having a small loan on it as well.
The reverse mortgage loan. So the reverse mortgage company, they bought the $430,000. But they didn't have a payment. They didn't have a payment.
That's what I was trying to get at. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the $430,000 house, they had to come in with $260,000. So that was what their down payment was $260,000. And then the rest of that is the reverse mortgage loan. So, yeah.
Right. So anyway, I think that's important too, because people don't necessarily they still want to own a home.
Yeah, they still want to own a home, or in some situations, you think, I think about this more in the Bay Area a lot. Like, if you bought a house in the Bay Area 40 years ago, you kind of won the lottery. Right. That's what happened. But maybe your cash flow isn't very good. Like, that's great. You're equity rich. You have this house worth $1 gazillion, but you still are having a hard time making all your bills and buying your food and paying, all that stuff. And so what the reverse purchase allows you to do is not dump all of your money into the next house. So take a portion of that money, get into the house you want, wherever that is. Maybe it's by your kids in the valley, because that's where we can all afford to live. Invest the difference, put the difference of that with a financial advisor, and start getting some income off of that, that extra money. So don't sell your $1 million house in Fremont and buy a $1 million house in Tracy. Like, maybe sell your $1 million house in Fremont, buy a $500,000 house in Tracy, use a reverse mortgage, and then invest the difference.
Right. Yeah. So, good advice. Is there anything else that people should know about a reverse mortgage? So for me, highly recommend that if you are thinking about a reverse mortgage, or you've had questions. I know there's been some years that they've had a really bad rap. They've completely changed, and they've become very helpful and useful to our senior clients. So don't let the word reverse mortgage scare you anymore. I think getting professional advice from somebody like Liz that knows reverse mortgages, not just any lender does that. So make sure you seek out somebody
who has the specialty.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of like with that real estate space. Like, a lot of lenders do them, and they kind of know how to do them, but they don't have the expertise in understanding if it makes sense or not, and if it's a good idea. So I think you're totally right. People should not assume, hear that reverse mortgage and be like, that's terrible. I think, talk about with somebody, a loan officer that has expertise in it, what is the right thing for you, and what are the consequences to it? What does this look like in 20 years for you, for your estate? Does it make sense? And not, this is my opinion, I think working with somebody who only does reverse mortgage is not a great idea, because they don't understand the other tools or strategies you could use to make the situation make sense for you.
Right.
And so
If
that
a
is my
reverse mortgage
opinion.
doesn't
Yeah.
make sense,
That
then
there are other
right.
options, and there's not this, I just always, they're kind of bullies, I think, when these like call center people, and they hound and hound and hound. And I've worked with seniors that have like gotten into situations where, not with reverse mortgage necessarily, but where salespeople are just hounding them, and these poor seniors, either to get them off their backs or they just don't understand, they move forward with something they don't actually feel really good about.
Exactly.
So I want you to feel good about it, and I want it to make sense. I want it to make sense for them. So
Absolutely.
that's
So,
my strategy.
well, if you have any questions, Liz's information will be here on the site. So please reach out to her, or you can reach out to me and I can connect you. Either way, we'll help you get answers that you're looking for. So thanks for joining us today, and have a wonderful day.